Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So yeah, just a little bit about me, really about talent and culture, human resources, and I think there's so many interchangeable words to use in there. Organizational design. I'm not going to go through each one of them a list. So one of the things that I've had experience over is being able to change the culture and being able to engage people to come up with a great business outcome and also undo all the layers. I think across a lot of businesses and identities within, especially around people, there's so much hardware that gets changed within a business. And where I'm going to focus my time and my expertise is really probably that's the softer skills. Within talent and culture and HR, I'm not going to be focusing on the transactional. So whether that's recruitment, whether that's payroll, whether that's the functional side of HR, I really want to focus on, I think, is the more challenging part of our people within our industry. So that's definitely my expertise across. I've also done a lot of digital transformations and RFIs around helping businesses determine what they need. So I've done a lot of work with the SAP software company to identify the value of what software will do to a business and how it can help them from efficiency and also around their people. I'd like to think that I take a real holistic approach and a very personal approach to some complex, from a national business, multinational, multi layers, that I can break it down and take away some of that confusion. And when companies are so close to it, having a third party come in and helping them and supporting them through and asking some of those decisions or asking some of those questions to come up with a decision, how can I help them do that? And I feel I've got some good ability to be able to sort of lay that out into some good functional information. Next slide. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so what is the problem? And that's, thank you, I think, Chief Medichicks, for this presentation, because it really made me think about some different things that maybe I hadn't thought through my business plan. And the main areas is around the expertise. So I think a lot of companies they can't afford to have this type of expertise within their payroll, within their business. And it's also an area that does need expertise and doesn't need someone on their payroll, 365 days of the year. It's someone that I feel a business like myself can come in at different times, more on a project based, and help out the business without them needing to have the expertise on payroll. So that's my main area that I think the problem is. The solution is, I feel I'm very personable, very adaptable. I can work in the big corporate industries, and I can work with the smaller companies. And I know when I've gone through third party consultants, you go in with an idea and you go in with a scope, and often that changes along the way. And I have a very flexible approach. Even though if the scope was A and we need to change it to B or C or D, it doesn't matter. I feel that I'm really capable of making those changes with a business stakeholder to do that. Thanks, Michelle. Next slide. Vision, mission, and purpose. Well, I'm talking to a whole lot of marketing people now, right? So you guys are definitely the expertise in this. And I think if I go back to what the main vision is really to harness the power of the people. Looking at within a business, are we utilizing the people, the terminology, right place, right time, but also with the right skills? And again, I think with the expertise of a third party, having a look at a business and helping a business to ensure that's happening, that is definitely, I like to focus very much on the customer performance and also the company performance. The end goal is our customer, and I'm probably more, if I say where's my expertise, it would be focusing on companies that are highly customer centric in that service industry. My mission, I want to align to an organisation goals. They're not my goals. My goal is to help an organisation. My goal is to support the organisation, for them to be a more sustainable and capable business. My purpose is provide expertise. I talked about before being adaptable, being accessible as well. I think, some of those large companies, once you put in your first inquiry and then you get put on to someone else and then someone else, and actually who is doing the work? Often it's not the people that you originally talked to, it's a salesperson. I'm definitely at this stage planning to be a one-person band. I'm not planning to sort of be off making myself grow and grow at this stage. I never say never. However, but I want to be the person that they speak to. I want to be the person that does the work, and I want to be the person that sees the outcome. And I want to see the company successful from a long-term partnership. Thanks, Michelle. Next slide. My why. I feel my expertise is going to be around small to medium-sized businesses. That can always change. And again, I talk about the flexibility and adaptability. I want to be able to inspire people for change, and I don't want them to see it too daunting. I want them to feel, whatever company I'm working with as a consultant, I want them to feel they're definitely part of that decision. And I've worked with the big companies, as engaged with, I use Deloitte as an example. And I felt like a lot of that time, my experience, you pretty much get another template, and transactional to the next stage of that project. And I want to make sure that my true why is to help the business be engaged and ultimately grow their business. How am I going to do that? Creating everyone's North Star. I think when we're all part of creating a North Star and feel good about who we're working with, to enhance the organization and really to deliver that high standard of performing. Again, I go back to what I'm going to keep talking about is being adaptable for that business, and really working for what their needs are, because we could start a project and in 6 months' time, that project could change. Directors change, ownership changes, and I really feel that understanding of developing that high-performing team is really important to me. How am I going to do it? I'm really going to look for feedback here, because I feel sometimes I'm writing too much down, like what I can offer. Am I offering too much and then be seen as not an expert? But I definitely provide HR consultancy services, organizational change, and people development. However, you saw the list of things that I can offer. I'm looking for that feedback as we work through this. And what could I be seen as too much of a generalist and not be focusing in one area? Next slide. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for this. I did do a SWOT analysis, but with the feedback that was in here and the sort of bullet points of what to focus on, I really did work going through this again. As I said before, I'm hospitality customer focused. That production, manufacturing, I worked in mining, so I have an understanding of those areas. I like to focus, my strengths is definitely customer focus. I have a work insight and work visas across US and Australia. I've also worked in Singapore. I've done a lot of work within projects across Europe, in Paris, London, and understanding different cultures from a global point, I think, is definitely one of my strengths. One of the other areas I have worked in big companies with big structures, but I've also, a bit of an example, I work for Accor Hotels and Qantas Lounges. So they engaged me to start up a separate entity in Los Angeles, to start up the Qantas First Class Lounge in LA. And anything from right in the beginning of registering the business, I was working from the US, and I had to register the business in a US entity, but it had to be compliant to Australian regulations. So I feel that I've got that experience where even if I don't know something, I have some good resources by myself that I can figure out where we need to go, reporting back to a global structure. My weaknesses: lack of contacts in the US. I really haven't worked for different reasons a lot over the last few years. I've done some consultant work at different times, but I don't have a lot of contacts in the US. And I have got some great contacts in Australia. And also the question that I asked before about offering you a variety of broad services portfolio can be seen as a positive, could be seen as a weakness through that as well. Opportunities. I think there's so many opportunities in the people space, and that could be expanding contracts. So I do have my MBTI, but there's so many other sources out there for people profiling. And it's a matter of where do you start, or which one is the most current one, which one is the one that people are using around psychological reasoning, of critical reasoning, all those types of things within the people space and culture space. I could be studying for the next 2 years of getting all those accreditations. So I really look for the opportunity there of understanding more what is the industry looking for now in those businesses. I think remote working now obviously is more of the normal. I have every ability to be able to go cross country within the US and Australia. So I see that as an opportunity, and also my understanding around people culture. I'm good to dive into the difficult areas. It's quite easy sometimes in the HR space to stay in recruitment, to stay in transactional work. You can see a direct outcome. But I do enjoy that culture and that change management where it becomes a little more difficult to work in that space sometimes. Threats, the current climate, I think most people would put that into here, of what's happening and how it can change in different climates. And also a crowded field. When I did a bit of my own research, there is a lot of people in this space, but when I'm looking through the websites and the information, I'm not seeing anything that it's some marketing worded where I'm looking at a website and I'm going, what do they really do? And I call it marketing soup. So excuse my marketing language there. But there's a lot of words, but I'm still not getting the true what are they doing. So I'd like to see myself when I creating the website to make something that's very tangible and someone's reading this information and they feel like they know what I do. And then second to that, I back that up through inquiries and through emails and proposals. Michelle, next one. Thank you. My target market, yeah, how big can that be, right? I don't want to ever hold myself back, and I just want to be customer centric. It's as simple as I want to try and make it at this stage. I want to work with companies that truly want to engage and make a difference with people. I want to work with a company that finds this important, and I'm not going to put those parameters around it. Whether I'm sort of saying medium-sized companies, but I just want to be customer-centric and people-centric. I also want to work with companies that are going through change, and they're really willing to do something different and explore what that difference looks like. And whether I always often talk about a needle that you have to, if you want to make big changes, you've got to be prepared to make some big decisions. And I want to work with companies that are pretty bold in that space. I love mergers and acquisitions. I was part of a big merger and acquisition between Accor Hotels and Mantra Hotels. We had 125 hotels. I headed up people, culture, and communications, and loved it. Very difficult because two different cultures from the way they, as companies, they were. But yeah, love mergers and acquisitions. Thanks, Michelle. Michelle, what's your choice of wine? I might need to add that to the collection after this presentation. My competitors. Yeah, look, I use Deloitte, and I think they've got some great, obviously they're a great company in what they do. I don't want to be that big company with a whole lot of templates and rolling out a lot of people coming in. I want to be the person, that connection person to everyone of the team, everyone part of that business. I want to be able to have great brand awareness, and I think creating that through social media campaigns. And I want to make sure there is a competitive advantage where I really have a great diverse set of organizations I work with, and also that connection point from me. I say I'm in a lucky position that I've had some great roles, and I always feel that's come from connection and just truly listening to people, that active listening, and not being set in direction one or direction two, where I have that flexibility to work with people. And hopefully that sort of comes across in my own communication with every individual, from a line staff team member to an executive board member, that I can adapt to that different market. Thank you, Michelle. This is where it comes down to Chief Metachicks. What do I need? Where am I up to? I've really been working with a company over here to come up with a positioning statement, to work out logo, work out naming. And again, I'm pretty sold on that, but I'm not emotionally invested in that. So any feedback's great feedback. At the stage where I'm just starting to create the website, I'm refining the services and the messaging, and also a marketing plan. I think out of the biggest help and the skills that I need is really looking for a marketing plan. I am definitely not the marketer. I am the the doer. I can get things done. I communicate well with people, and probably in sync and with purpose, but I don't create a lot of words around marketing. So I think that's the biggest area of skills required that I'd be asking for and requesting for. Okay, and my last slide, knowing of time, because I'm going to try and keep to that time zone. Last comment, we can all sell products, but more than anything, I am an athlete. And I know the tremendous power of finding a great coach, and that guides and leads training, prepares you for race day. For me and Virsa people, I'm looking for a community of people to guide me. I love feedback. It's a gift. And I really love working with people. It's a bit of a word that people use, but I do. And I don't want to totally do it by myself. I'm looking for that business support. And that's me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lynda. I'm going to hand to Caroline because I know she has to jump off. So, Caroline, do you want to jump in with feedback and questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I have about a minute, so I'm not going to ask too many questions. I will save questions for later, but I'll just give you a kind of overview of a few things that I thought while you were presenting. First of all, it's great. You did a great job. The business sounds like it's good. It sounds like you're very passionate about what you're doing. You've worked out, I guess, your sort of passion point that you want to follow. I do think that it would be definitely good, as you were saying, to look at the sort of marketing and positioning statements and potentially try to sort of initiate where you're saying you look like you're more generalist, try to look at what your niche is. So how do you stand out from all these other businesses that you're saying are out there? And let's really have a look at those competitors and also really sort of analyze some of the business to understand what type of industry it is you're going to go after initially, like what sorts of industries, what size are those sort of companies that are looking for external, resources, and what part of that kind of people culture framework are you positioning yourself as, providing? Because then you can have a really strong vision, really strong mission, and promote what it is about you that stands out from the crowd. And it sounds like you're incredibly competent and you've got all these different areas of expertise, which is amazing for the business, in general. But initially, you need to think about what's your niche, what's your statement that's going to make you stand out. And then we can look at how we communicate that. I think the other thing is, I wrote down, just like the business model, you've said, obviously you only want it to be you initially, which is fair enough. But then also looking at what your expectation of that is, how much time you're looking to provide to each company. Because obviously in terms of, perspective, I guess that's limiting as well, because there's only one of you and you only have so many hours in the day. So we just need to look at that, like plan out that kind of business model so you understand, economically as well, what it is that you're looking at. And then I just wrote down, I thought, again, like you, the global, thing, working remotely, that's an opportunity. It's a really good niche. Personalization, you're talking about some of the companies that you've worked for previously. You should definitely incorporate that into your selling strategy and into your, positioning, so that we can give some kind of, stories from people who have worked with you previously. And then at the end, you talked about how your love for mergers and acquisitions. So again, I guess it's just really breaking down, is that your area of expertise? Is that your niche? What does it look like? Is it change? Is it, and just finding what that is. That doesn't limit you from doing all the other things that you've talked about, but it's just in positioning your business, you've got to really sort of fine tune what that is so that you stand out from the crowd. So yeah, but that's overall, great. I think it's great. And it sounds, like I said, it sounds like you're incredibly competent and you're very skilled. And you're the kind of person, where I come from startup world, we have no HR in our world. So, there is a niche definitely out there for people to come in and change, and help with culture and all of that sort of stuff. And so I just, again, think it's a great opportunity for you to have a look at what the industry is that you're looking to target and where you want to be and how you want to do it. And yeah, so thank you very much for coming along today and presenting to us. I'm sorry that I have to jump, but I did say to Nikki I have a meeting at 11, so I have to leave
Thank
you
so
in the
much.
very capable hands of Nikki and Michelle, who I'm sure will have some excellent feedback for you. So
I appreciate your time, and the feedback's perfect. So thank you so much, and hope your meeting goes well.
thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. I'll connect with you later.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle. You've covered so much of what I was going to talk about, so I don't want to duplicate. I think there's a couple of things that we can help you with, Lynda, and I think it's really refining your business model and who you want to go after. I think you've got some great connections and networks in the hospitality industry. So where I would sort of encourage you to think about is, where do you have networks that you can get really strong testimonials that is going to help you build differentiation, expertise in a certain industry or category, if you like, and then referral business. A core Qantas, they're big names, they're great names, get testimonials from them and showcase what you've done with them. And I think that's really important sort of content for your website. If I take a step back on your business proposition, I would spend some time just documenting each of the different services that you've got. What's your USP in each of those services, and try and be super succinct. I can see just in some of the engagement that we've had, you've got a lot to say. And so you do put a lot of words in. I want you to try to focus on one sentence. Like if you were going to say it in one sentence, it's an elevator pitch. It's your opportunity to pitch your expertise in this specific area. What are you going to say? And if you need to use ChatGPT to do that, pump all of your words into ChatGPT and say, give me one sentence to create a differentiated statement, and it'll do it for you. I would encourage you to really narrow it down, because then you get your narrative, you get your USP, and you can really position yourself convincingly. So I'd kind of start with those areas. Then what I want you to do is cost it and go, right, what is the business potential in this area? And have a look at where you think you're going to get your quickest wins. You are very early stages in your business. You need to think about, where am I going to get revenue in the door? And I'd start there. You can build out other pieces of that offering later, but start where you're going to get your biggest bang for buck, because when you're running your own business, you need cash coming in the door. Believe me, I know all about it. And then, as you evolve, when you're talking to clients, you can categorize, I reckon you've got a really interesting space here in scale ups as well. So you've got the big corporate end of town and the mergers and acquisitions that you really enjoy. And there's a huge change in people management thing there. So that's critical. And it sounds like you got those expertise. So that should be one bucket. Then there's the kind of, small to medium business where you might have, we've got the startup ecosystem, but then where the money really comes in the door for them is the scale up, and where they're hiring people and they need that support and services. So I would suggest that that's a really interesting market for you. And it leans itself into some of the expertise that you got on different software platforms. They might not have the budgets yet to have, a big HR team, but if you can help them implement the right software to manage their HR function, then, that's a really interesting space for you to play in as well. And then what I'd also look at doing is
it's interesting there. I got a call the other day from a gentleman, a recruiting agency in Atlanta, and they were looking for it's a startup, but they're scaling up big time, and they're moving from a more junior HR person to a senior HR person. So he was reaching me out to have a conversation. And I would love, because I actually talked to that piece where I said, look, I would love to meet you or meet your client. I'm not your full-time person for the next 5 years, but I'm the person that would help you set it up, and then you'd scale it back and make it capable for someone else. So I started thinking about that more, of bringing that scale up piece in. Thank you.
And then the other thing that I think is really important as you start to shape this, you can tap into lots of different areas. Listen to what they're after and then match your skills to it. You don't have to go in and go, this is everything that I've got, and feel like a generalist. You can go, tell me what your problems are, and let them unravel all of the things that they're needing. And then you just position your services in the way that that you would normally do, because you can provide solutions for them. So you don't have to go in with everything. You just go in and say, tell me where you're looking for support. What are the problems you're needing to overcome? What are the specific areas? Okay, this, top line, this is, I can help you here, here, and here. Let me come back to you with a proposal. And then you've just got time to digest it all and go, right, here's how I would go about it. And then you send them a tailored proposal that covers all of the things that they're looking for.
Yep.
I think the other piece for you, which I wrote down, is, how are you going to scale? You need to think about where you can tap into different resources to help you, because if you are just a one-man show, you're the master of everything, like you're doing everything. And so your ability to be on the ground, you're still going to do all your back office stuff. And that's really full on. Like, I can tell you, even just from starting Chief Metachicks and just building content and, trying to get the socials out and doing everything when you're pouring your own money in to start with before you've got the ability to hire people and get support, it's really tough. So you need to think about, what's your freelance model? What are the, who do you need and what do you need? And how can that empower you to keep out there connecting with customers and delivering your services? And it's so much more efficient to have some more junior resource helping you with admin tasks or outsourcing stuff to accountants or bookkeepers and things like that, because otherwise, as a small business owner, you will spend all of your time doing the shit that you're not good at and none of your time doing the stuff that really is going to drive the business. So you really need to give that a bit of thought. We can help you with that too. I mean, early stages for me, I just had freelancers doing different things for me. I'm at the point now where I'm going to engage a social media agency because, I can get to that point with a business instead of doing all the social posts myself, which quite frankly is not what I need to be doing. So it's really thinking about your business in stages, and at this point I can afford this. And also the other thing is, I think it was Michelle's point about being a one-man person, it's much more powerful to be able to say we. It makes you feel like you're more established. And I think, whether you're engaging virtual assistants or whatever it is, there's a lot of things that can streamline what you're doing and allow you to do the things that are value adding and growing your business rather than doing everything in your business. So give that a little bit of thought too. Yep. There was only one other thing for me, and that is networks. And this is where we can help you. Think about your networks. Think about how your networks can expand your networks, because how you're going to grow your business is through referrals and people opening doors. That's one of the whole reasons why Chief Metachicks exists, because we're tapping into the breadth of networks of everybody, and ultimately our members will get to know each other's businesses, and if they need those services, they'll go, oh, hey, I know someone. And so it's the power, not just the power of the networks of the Chief Metachicks leaders, it's the power of the network of the Chief Metachicks community. And so that's why we record these sessions, so that our members can learn from each other and also learn about your business. So we will, we'll do a check-in with you. We'll feature you on our podcast as well. We'll feature you in our socials, and all of that is about allowing the community and, the broader community, if you like, and social networks about the services that are on offer. So, we're thrilled to have you as part of the community. We'll work through who we feel like are the right leaders for you to help you. But I think there's a lot for you just in really refining the business proposition, super succinct, and the services and where you're going to go. And then your next stage is your marketing and your social media and all of that. But we've just got to nail your business proposition first. And I know you're still building a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is, because it's exciting, and just me, and that's just probably a bit of my personality as well. I can do that. I can do everything. I can do it, so I don't want to be narrow-minded, but I understand what you're saying is it needs to be narrow to people to understand what you do. So I get the difference. That's just probably me. I can do everything. We'll do everything. It's all going to be okay.
You still can, but you can't do everything at once. So it's about, really identifying where are you going to get your quickest bang for buck, where are your quick wins, and then what do you want to add on? And as you add on, what's the support you've got with you to allow you to grow? Otherwise, you're just going to burn yourself out. And that's something you got to be really, really careful as a, one-stop shop or just operating everything yourself. You just got to watch your energy and your burnout and know where you can go for support. If things are getting a bit overwhelming, who have you worked with in the past that you rate that could pick up a bit of stuff for you or support some of the back end office things. That's going to be critical for you so that you can keep your energy up to do the things that you need to do with your clients.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed just getting ready for this as well myself. It really made me think a bit differently. So, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Well, look, I'll be in touch. I'll share this recording with our other Chief MetaChicks leaders, and I'll be in touch with you to let you know who we're going to allocate to you, and then I'll provide an intro for you. So basically, you'll get 24 coaching sessions over 6 months, so 6 with 4 different leaders, and we'll all focus on something a little bit different. So we'll basically allocate people that we think will plug the sort of gaps that you need in terms of capability and networks. So looking forward to helping you on your journey.
Excellent. I loved it. Thank you so much. And Michelle, thank you for your time, and hope you don't need that life ring behind you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, please do. I'm in Atlanta at the moment. Yeah.